Title: My wife lost the weight, found her confidence, and then lost our marriage. I never thought I'd be the guy posting one of these stories. My wife, Emily, and I had been together for almost 9 years. We had a 6-year-old daughter and a 3-year-old son. Before kids, Emily had always been attractive, but after our second child, she struggled with postpartum depression, low self-esteem, and weight gain. I tried to support her. I told her she was beautiful. I took over bedtime routines when I could. I encouraged her to spend time with friends. Nothing seemed to help. Every time I complimented her, she would shake her head. "You're just saying that because you're my husband." At first, I thought it was normal insecurity. Having children changes people. I figured she just needed time. Unfortunately, things only got worse. Emily became obsessed with comparing herself to other women. Every family gathering, every trip to the store, every social media post became another reason for her to criticize herself. She would stand in front of the mirror and point out every flaw. One evening, she broke down crying because an old college friend had posted vacation photos online. "I used to look like that," she said. I hugged her and told her she was being too hard on herself. She didn't believe me. A few months later, she announced that she wanted to join a gym. Honestly, I was excited. Not because I wanted her to lose weight, because she finally seemed motivated to do something for herself. I rearranged my work schedule so she could attend evening sessions. I watched the kids. I paid for the membership. For the first few weeks, she came home exhausted but happy. Then she started talking about her trainer. A lot. His name was Tyler, 28 years old, former college athlete, personal trainer. At first, I didn't think anything of it. Then every conversation somehow turned into Tyler. "Tyler says I have great potential. Tyler thinks I'm making incredible progress. Tyler says most people quit after a month. Tyler says I'm mentally stronger than I realize." I remember joking one night, "Sounds like Tyler is your biggest fan." She smiled. Actually smiled. A smile I hadn't seen directed at me in a very long time. That should have been my first warning. 6 months later, Emily had lost almost 50 pounds. She looked fantastic. But something else had changed too. She suddenly needed new clothes, new makeup, new hairstyles, new photos for social media. The woman who once hated having her picture taken was suddenly posting selfies every other day. The compliments poured in. Friends, co-workers, random strangers, and she soaked up every bit of attention. The more validation she received, the more she seemed to need. It was like filling a bucket with a hole in the bottom. Nothing was ever enough. One night, we were sitting on the couch after the kids went to bed. I wrapped my arm around her. She shifted away. Not dramatically, just enough for me to notice. That tiny movement hurt more than I expected. Over the following months, our marriage became distant. She spent more time at the gym, more time on her phone, more time texting, less time with me, less time with the kids, less time being present. I asked if everything was okay. She insisted it was. I asked if she was unhappy. She said no. I asked if there was someone else. She laughed. Actually laughed. "Seriously? You think I'm having an affair?" I felt stupid for asking, so I dropped it. A week later, I found out I should have trusted my instincts. It happened completely by accident. Emily had left her phone on the kitchen counter while taking a shower. The screen lit up. A message preview appeared. "Can't stop thinking about last night." My stomach dropped. I wish I could say I calmly handled the situation. I didn't. I opened the phone. There were hundreds of messages. Hundreds. Pictures. Voice notes. Inside jokes. Plans. Declarations of affection. Months of conversations. And every single one was with Tyler, the trainer, the guy I had been helping pay to spend time with my wife. The worst part wasn't the affair. It was reading how she talked about me. I expected complaints, maybe anger. Instead, I found indifference. I was boring, predictable, safe, reliable. The guy who paid bills. The guy who watched the kids. The guy who made her life easier while she chased excitement somewhere else. I sat there reading until my hands started shaking. When she came downstairs, I was still holding the phone. The look on her face told me everything. No denial, no confusion, just panic. Please let me explain. I hated those words instantly. Explain what? The months of lies? The secret dates? The hotel receipts? The messages about how trapped she felt? She cried. Of course she cried. She said she never meant for it to happen. She said Tyler made her feel attractive. She said she finally felt confident again. She said she felt invisible for years. I listened. Then I asked a simple question. If you finally felt confident, why did you need another man to tell you that? She had no answer. And honestly, that was when I realized the affair wasn't really about Tyler. Tyler was just the latest source of validation. Before him, it was social media. Before that, it was attention from strangers. Before that, it was constant reassurance from me. The real problem was that nothing was ever enough. No amount of weight loss. No amount of compliments. No amount of love. Because the insecurity never actually disappeared. It just changed forms. For years, Emily believed losing weight would make her happy. Then she lost the weight. For years, she believed confidence would solve everything. Then she gained confidence. For years, she believed attention would make her feel valuable. Then she got endless attention. And she still wasn't satisfied. That realization broke my heart. Because I finally understood that there was nothing I could have done differently. You can't fix someone else's self-worth. You can't love somebody into loving themselves. Over the next few months, we tried counseling. We tried conversations. We tried creating rules and boundaries. But every discussion eventually returned to the same thing. Emily wanted forgiveness. I wanted trust. Those are not the same thing. One afternoon, our therapist asked Emily why she thought the affair happened. Her answer shocked me. I think I was afraid he'd stop choosing me. The room went silent. The therapist asked her to clarify. Emily explained that after losing weight, she became terrified of losing the attention that came with it. The compliments became addictive. Tyler constantly reassured her. She became dependent on it. And eventually she crossed lines she never thought she would cross. For the first time in months, I almost felt sorry for her. Almost. Because regardless of the reasons, she still made choices. Hundreds of them. And every one of those choices moved her further away from our marriage. We finalized the divorce last year. The process wasn't ugly, just sad. Today we co-parent our children successfully. We remain civil, but we're not friends. As for Tyler, that relationship lasted less than 6 months after our separation. Apparently real life wasn't nearly as exciting as sneaking around. Funny how that works. The strangest part is that Emily eventually admitted something during one of our co-parenting conversations. She said losing weight didn't make her happy. The affair didn't make her happy. The attention didn't make her happy. For a moment she thought those things would finally fix what was broken inside her. They didn't, because the problem was never her body. It was the way she saw herself. And by the time she figured that out, our marriage was already gone. That's the lesson I took from all of this. People think affairs happen because someone finds a better partner. Sometimes that's true. But sometimes an affair happens because a person is trying to escape themselves. And no matter who they're running toward, they bring their insecurities with them, including the ones that destroy everything they already have. Update 1. I honestly didn't expect my original post to get much attention. A lot of people asked what happened after the divorce and whether Emily ever showed any real remorse. The answer is complicated. For the first few months after we separated, she was still convinced she had made the right choice. Not because she was happy, because admitting she had destroyed her family for nothing would have forced her to face reality. And Emily had always struggled with reality whenever it hurt. The relationship with Tyler fell apart quickly. Apparently being someone's exciting secret is very different from being their actual partner. When they were sneaking around, every meeting felt special. Every text message felt important. Every compliment felt meaningful. Then real life arrived. Bills, responsibilities, schedules, children, expectations. Suddenly Tyler wasn't getting the fun version of Emily anymore. He was getting the anxious version, the insecure version, the version I had spent years trying to support. A mutual acquaintance told me they argued constantly. Emily became possessive. Tyler became distant. The same cycle that had existed inside our marriage started appearing in theirs. The difference was that Tyler didn't have 8 years invested in the relationship. He left. Fast. Less than 6 months after our divorce became official. When I heard the news, I expected to feel satisfaction. I didn't. Just exhaustion. Because by that point I was focused on rebuilding my own life. The kids were adjusting surprisingly well. My daughter asked hard questions occasionally. My son mostly cared whether we were getting pizza on Friday. Children are resilient in ways adults often aren't. One evening Emily called unexpectedly. Normally we communicated only through text. So I knew something was wrong. When I answered, she sounded different. Not dramatic. Not emotional. Just defeated. "Can we talk for a minute?" I stepped outside onto my porch. The sun was setting. The kids were inside watching a movie. "What is it?" I asked. There was a long silence. Then she said something I never expected to hear. "You were right. That's all." 3 words. After everything. After the lies. After the affair. After the divorce. After months of blaming everyone except herself. "You were right." I didn't respond immediately. I wasn't interested in winning. Not anymore. She continued. "I thought if I lost weight I'd finally be happy." Silence. "I thought if someone new wanted me I'd finally feel confident." Silence. "I thought if I felt desired again everything would make sense." Another silence. But nothing changed. For a second I almost recognized the woman I had married. Not the manipulative version. Not the selfish version. The real version hiding underneath all of it. The scared version. The insecure version. The woman who never believed she was enough. Unfortunately, understanding someone doesn't erase what they did. I asked her a question. "Then why did you do it?" She started crying. Not loudly. Just quietly. Because she didn't have an answer. Or maybe she had too many. Eventually she said, "I hated myself before I lost the weight." I listened. And after I lost it, I was terrified I'd become that person again. That statement stuck with me. Because it explained something I'd never understood. Emily wasn't chasing happiness. She was running from fear. Fear of getting older. Fear of becoming invisible. Fear of not being attractive. Fear of not being enough. Tyler wasn't the cause. He was simply a distraction. A temporary drug. The problem had always existed. Long before he arrived. Long before the gym. Long before the children. Long before me. When the conversation ended, she apologized. Not for getting caught. Not for the divorce. Not even specifically for the affair. She apologized for making me carry responsibilities that were never mine. "You spent years trying to convince me I was beautiful." I stayed quiet. "You weren't supposed to fix me." No, I wasn't. And neither was Tyler. Nobody could. That realization changed something inside me. For a long time after the affair, I kept asking myself what I could have done differently. Maybe more date nights. More compliments. More attention. More affection. More support. But eventually I accepted something difficult. You cannot save someone from a battle they're unwilling to fight themselves. You can stand beside them. You can encourage them. You can love them. But you cannot heal wounds they refuse to acknowledge. Today, nearly 2 years later, my life looks very different. I still have trust issues. I'm not going to pretend otherwise. But I'm happy. The kids are thriving. My career is stronger. I've lost weight myself. Started hiking. Started traveling. Started saying yes to things I used to postpone. Most importantly, I stopped trying to understand why everything happened. Sometimes people make terrible decisions. Sometimes they destroy good things. Sometimes they spend years chasing answers in all the wrong places. And sometimes they only realize what they lost after it's gone. Emily eventually lost the weight. She got the attention. She got the affair. She got the freedom she thought she wanted. And somehow she ended up feeling even more lost than before. Meanwhile, I lost a marriage. But I found peace. And if you had asked me on the day I discovered the affair which outcome I would rather have, I never would have believed my answer. Final update. I wasn't planning to make another update. Honestly, I thought the story was over. The divorce was finalized. The kids were doing well. Emily and I had settled into a routine. Life had finally become peaceful. Then something happened a few weeks ago that felt like the final chapter. My daughter had a school event. Nothing major. Just one of those evenings where parents show up, take pictures, clap too much, and pretend not to cry while their kids grow up right in front of them. I arrived early and found a seat. A few minutes later, Emily walked in. For a second, I barely recognized her. Not because she looked different, because she looked tired. Really tired. The kind of tired that doesn't come from work or lack of sleep. The kind that comes from carrying regret for too long. She sat a few rows away. Neither of us said much. We were there for our daughter. Nothing else mattered. After the event ended, the kids ran off with friends while parents gathered around talking. That's when Emily approached me. "Can we talk for a minute?" I almost laughed. Those words had changed my life once before. This time I simply nodded. We walked toward the parking lot. The evening air was cool. For a while neither of us spoke. Then she finally said it. "I don't think I've ever told you how sorry I really am." I stayed quiet. She continued. "For a long time I blamed everything except myself." I looked at her. She wasn't crying. She wasn't being dramatic. She wasn't asking for sympathy. For the first time in years, she just sounded honest. "I blamed motherhood. I blamed stress. I blamed getting older. I blamed our marriage. I blamed you." She shook her head. "But none of those things made me cheat." "No, they didn't." She looked down at the ground. "I did that." Another silence. Then she said something that surprised me. "You know what the worst part is?" I didn't answer. "I got everything I thought I wanted." The words sounded familiar, almost like she was finally hearing herself. "I lost the weight. I got attention. I got validation. I had someone chasing me." She smiled sadly. "And somehow I was more miserable than ever." I didn't feel anger listening to her. I didn't feel satisfaction either. Just distance. Like listening to a story about someone else's life. She glanced toward the school building where our daughter was laughing with friends. I traded certainty for excitement. Her voice cracked. And the excitement lasted a few months. That hit harder than I expected. Because I remembered all the nights she had made me feel like I wasn't enough. Like I was boring. Predictable. Replaceable. All for something that didn't even last. Then she asked the question I knew was coming. "Do you ever think we could have worked things out?" There it was. Not a request. Not exactly. But close enough. A few years earlier I would have given anything to hear those words. Now they felt strangely empty. I thought carefully before answering. "I think we could have fixed almost anything." She looked hopeful for a second. Then I finished. "Except betrayal." The hope disappeared. Not dramatically, just quietly, because deep down she already knew. I wasn't trying to punish her. I wasn't trying to hurt her. I was simply telling the truth. Trust isn't a switch. Once broken, it doesn't magically come back because enough time passes. We stood there for another minute. Then she nodded. "I understand." And for the first time, I think she actually did. Before leaving, she said one final thing. "I spent years thinking confidence came from other people. I waited. But real confidence is being able to look at yourself when nobody's watching." Then she walked away. I watched her leave and realized something. For years I had wanted an apology. An explanation. Closure. I thought those things would make me feel better. But standing there, I understood I didn't need any of them anymore. My life had already moved forward. I had rebuilt my home. Rebuilt my routine. Rebuilt my peace. The affair would always be part of my story. But it wasn't my story anymore. It was just a chapter. And chapters end. That night, I sat on my back porch after putting the kids to bed. The air was quiet. The stars were out. I thought about everything that had happened. The lies. The gym. The trainer. The divorce. The pain. All of it. And for the first time, I felt absolutely nothing toward it. No anger, no sadness, no bitterness, just acceptance. Sometimes people destroy good things because they're trying to fix something broken inside themselves. Sometimes they realize it too late. And sometimes the best revenge isn't moving on. It's reaching a point where revenge no longer matters. That's where I am now. And I think that's where this story finally ends.